And we are live. I thought I would come today and just talk a little bit about the secret of six-figure earners and above. So 6-figure and 7-figure earners. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine this morning. I don't really know what we were chatting about. We were just chatting as we do. And we got round to the number of people who are out on social media at the moment selling these 6-figure courses. And I don't mind people being out there and selling 6-figure courses, but just don't tell the outside world that you earn your 6 figures working 10 hours a day. Sorry, not 10 hours a day, 10 hours a week. It takes a lot longer than that. And I think that's the secret of a 6-figure earner. You have to work really, really hard. Now, I don't think it means that you need to be unhappy. You just need to accept the fact that you're going to work really, really hard. And you might get to a stage in that journey where you're working really, really hard isn't taking over your life. But there's a fairly big chance that for the first part of it, it is going to take over your life. I remember back to my very first 6-figure year. Gosh, I think I was about 31. I think I was about 31 at the time. And it was back in my my legal days. And I remember the money coming in. I also remember the money going back out again really, really quickly. And I also remember that the hours that I had to work, I was travelling between Scotland and England on a regular basis. I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to drive to the airport, to go to London. I was coming home late at night. I had periods where my husband and I were like ships passing in the night, taking care of children as we were going through that. And, you know, yeah, life did get much, much different. There was always the comfort of knowing that you could afford the things that you wanted, but you had to work really, really hard. And as I go through my career and I look at all the people that I have come into contact with over the years who've been 6-figure earners, I can tell you that they've all worked really, really hard too. And they continue to work really hard, because when you get to that place of earning 6 and 7 figures, to maintain it, unless you're living off a trust fund or some other large investment, then you work really hard. And I really don't know any reputable people who are out there earning 6 and 7 figures who are not putting in the hours. So I think that's really the secret of a 6-figure earner, that you have to work really, really hard. But it doesn't need to be miserable. You can work really hard, but you want to work really hard doing something that you enjoy. You want to work really, really hard, but be organised in the time that you're actually working, because the more organised you are, the more that you will get done. And I always talk about the strategies that I had in place as a lawyer, because one of the things I wanted to do, and these are strategies that I've carried forward into creating my own coaching business as well. You want to be able to enjoy your life. I have absolutely no issues working hard. But what I want to do along with working hard is enjoy my life. And I always made the decision as a lawyer that I wasn't going to compromise on the quality of my life, and I wasn't going to compromise on my children either. So I would put in place strategies so that I could deal with that. And one of the things that I used to do in the mornings when I went into the office, I think I'm going to sneeze. One of the things, this is what I love about life, you can't control things like sneezing. Excuse me. I got to love lives. So one of the things that I would do when I went into the office in the morning is I would sit for about 10 minutes with a sheet of paper, and I would just, as quick as I possibly could, write down everything that I needed to do that day that was coming to my mind, because that always showed me the things that were the most important things to do. And that wouldn't just be work related, it would be in my life generally. So if I knew I needed to schedule a dental appointment or a doctor's appointment or something for one of the kids, then I would put all of that into my diary and or not into my diary, but down in my notebook and schedule it. So when I say schedule it, what I would do is sit with a piece of paper, spend my 10 minutes or until I wasn't thinking anymore, because it's my philosophy that if you're writing things down and you have to think about them, then they're not a priority to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to be going into that thought process. That doesn't mean that the thing isn't a priority. It just means that it's not a priority for you at that particular day, at that particular moment. So I would spend my 5-10 minutes or whatever writing down on a sheet of paper everything that I needed to get done. Or, as I said, if I could only write it for about 3 minutes without having to stop, then I would stop after the 3 minutes. I would then take a quick look at what I had to do and I would schedule it into my diary. So I kind of knew what I needed to get done as a matter of urgency. And if people would call me up and say that something was urgent, then I would always look at that and say, well, urgent in whose mind? Urgent in your mind or urgent in my mind? Do I take that piece of work and put it above my own items, or do I put it at the bottom of my items, or do I put it off until the next day? So you've got to be able to do that as well and look and see exactly what it is that you need to get done and where your priorities lie. And if you do those kinds of things, you'll find that you're able to work really, really hard without compromising your own life. And I think that's when compromising your life and working really hard don't fit together. That didn't make any sense, did it? So if you're working too hard and you're compromising your life, then it's no good. And you have to take a serious look at where you're at. Because then, yeah, you might get your 6 figures. You might earn your 6 figures in your business. But if you're compromising your life in such a way that you're not sleeping, you're not eating properly, you're not exercising, you're not enjoying quality family time, quality social time, downtime, then you're going to burn out. And if you're going to burn out, then there's absolutely no point in earning 6 figures, because that 6 figures is quickly going to diminish or become nothing. Because if you burn out or burning out, you're not going to be at all productive in anything that you need to do. So there's working really hard, but there's working really, really hard in a very strategic way. So there are other things that I would do. I always looked at what was a priority in my life and what continues to be a priority in my life. And it's simple things like drinking water. I make sure I get at least 2 litres of water in a day for a number of reasons. I'm an older woman. As a middle-aged woman heading towards menopause, you'll find that your body's ability to hold water diminishes. So whereas as a young person, you might be able to go all day and not drink, you can't do that as you get older. So your body will begin to dehydrate much quicker. As your body dehydrates, you'll start to notice that it affects your ability to focus. It'll start to affect your sight. And you'll just generally find that maybe you get a sore head, maybe you become a little bit ratty, and that's all down to the fact that your body's becoming dehydrated. So I always feature in things like my water, my nutrition, my exercise. I mean, take an example of the other day. I'd made the decision not to exercise that day, not for any particular reason other than I decided I'm not going to do any exercise today. I'd been sitting at my desk and I'd been working. I got to the middle of the afternoon and I started to feel a little bit low. I knew that I'd hydrated well, so it wasn't a hydration issue. I had eaten, so I jumped on my bike and I ended up doing 15 miles. I came off the bike and I felt so energized. So just taking some exercise, either in the morning or at lunchtime, will just give you a little bit of a boost that will keep you going. So my nutrition, making sure I don't eat too much sugar, staying away from alcohol, because that again will make you feel dehydrated amongst other things, drinking my water. These are really simple strategies, and I'm sure that I absolutely bore people by just going on about how all of these little strategies can make such a massive difference in your life. But they can. Exercise, nutrition, water, a little bit of downtime, making sure you're happy what you're doing. So you can earn 6 figures, but 6 figures 1 year is not really going to set you up for the rest of your life. 6 figures for 2 years is not really going to set you up for the rest of your life, unless you're really, really lucky and put it into some supreme investment scheme that ends up massively increasing the amount that you've put in. The reality is that you're going to need to earn 6 figures for a number of years, and even 7 figures for a number of years, to put yourself in a position where you can comfortably say, I'm a comfortable 6-figure earner and someone who has an amount of money in the bank to be able to retire on. So the secret to a 6-figure earner is you need to work really, really hard, and you need to stay a 6-figure earner. And I think that's the issue for so many people, is actually staying there. And that's all about your stamina. And that has a lot to do with your physical and mental state. And as I was saying earlier on, back to the conversation that I had with my friend, if you see someone telling you that they're a 6-figure earner and they earn that 6 figures by only working 10 hours a week, then I would probably stay away from them. Because if I was a 6-figure earner and I was only working 10 hours a week, I would bump that 10 hours a week up to 40 hours a week. And then I would quadruple the amount of money that I was earning, because that's what genuine 6-figure earners, entrepreneur type people are doing. They're continually pushing themselves to the next level. They'll look at the 6 figures they've got, and then they'll say to themselves, well, how can I double that money? How can I triple that amount of money? How can I triple that amount of money? And then work a little bit less in that business so that I can then go off and do something else. And to be honest, those are the kind of people that I'm more interested in following in. I'm more interested in following your really successful people. I mean, look at people, if you follow people like Sara Blakely, for example, the founder of Spanx, she always seems to be on the go, whether she's running about behind her family, or she is in her offices, or she's telling you about calls, etc. that she's on. I can be pretty sure in my mind that that woman is working a long amount of hours on a weekly and a monthly business basis, because she's still so heavily engaged in her business. And all the other people I know. So I know so many 6- and 7-figure earners who are lawyers, who are accountants, who run their own businesses, and have been making that kind of money over a prolonged period of time. And I can tell you quite categorically that they are working extensive hours. But then they've got a good lifestyle, because they're learning how to make that kind of money and also balance their lifestyle. And if they're not learning how to balance their lifestyle, then they should give me a shout, because I can certainly help with that. So there you go. The secret of a 6-figure earner is they work really, really hard to earn their money. And if they're not working really, really hard to earn their money, then there's something not quite right. Okay, I will see you back on my next video. Bye-bye, guys.